Not
This
in a hurry at
conference will
all.
now be recorded.
Before we
Thank you
kick
for
off,
recording. Perfect. So I also think there's still a few people that might join us. So maybe let's give it a minute or two before we start.
Yeah,
And then Richard, just tell me, for questions, do you mind if people then, as the presentation goes along, do you mind if they then switch on their video and raise their hand and type in the chat section, or do you want to leave questions until the end? I don't know how you prefer to do it.
I'm not sure in terms of time. Maybe I don't mind either way, but maybe in terms of time, it's going to be better at the end. I'm not sure what your timings look like. You can continue. We can do it either way.
Okay, it's not a problem.
Maybe what I can say, if you are going to be the moderator of it, France, if there's a very urgent question that you spot, you can maybe stop me. That you feel that we should address right there and then. Otherwise, if we can do it at the end, maybe just in terms of time, that we know that I don't know how people's time schedules are.
But if anybody does have a quick... Sorry. Richard.
No, you were saying?
So if they have a question, they can type it, and I will. We can then, the ones that are really relevant and important on that stage, I'll raise, and then for the rest, we'll have a quick Q&A session afterwards.
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Even if there's ones, if people don't want to speak, I can have a look at the questions afterwards and we can answer them. But yeah, I think if there's something very important that you can spot, you can stop me. Then we do sort of a balance between those two things.
Okay. I'm just going to quickly introduce you again. So I don't know if we maybe have some stockists on here that maybe didn't join us last week. So that they also just know who's presenting today. So,
I'm just putting Michelle a message as well. Thanks.
Okay, so let's wait for her to join.
No, you can go ahead. Sorry, I'm just going to put the other.
Okay, so Richard and Michelle is from a boutique agency called Black Khaki that does bespoke marketing and advertising solutions for businesses of all sizes. So they are really experts in their field, and we thank them so much for presenting this 4-part series on social media for us. So I'm done talking, so you guys can go.
I've let Michelle know she'll join, but I'm presenting today anyway, so it's fine. I can continue. I think one thing that I can add is that what helps that we're a small boutique agency is that, of course, we do offer kind of a 360 solution. So we do advertising, communication, social media, and so forth, web design. And because we're small, agile, we have lots of partners that we partner with. We also partner with other small agencies to, if there's specialty things, like for example, app development, which we would then do certain parts of it and they would do other parts. So that's one of the benefits of being a small agency, is that we can actually diversify, and through partnerships we can actually offer a 360-degree from above the line advertising to direct communication, email, and that kind of stuff. So I do invite you to go have a look at the website and see some of the stuff that we've done. I'm going to just quickly recap. Last week we looked a little bit at what you can do to refresh your brand, just to revisit what you're saying, who you're speaking to, what you're going to do, especially in the context of where we are today, with the idea of online and social media and your website becoming your digital storefront. We're sitting in the situation where we don't really know what's going to happen, when we're going to move to the next level of economic practice, if I can put it that way. We kind of at the mercy at this point in time of government. So what we can do at this point in time is to go look at what we do online and what we say online, and how to actually line up customers or adapt and change our brands and our businesses to operate in this time and also in the new reality coming forward. Because however we look at it, we are definitely going to see enforced physical distancing for some considerable time this year, and we're probably looking at resurgence of this virus next year, which might have a new stage of lockdown. So the better prepared we are, for that, and each business, the better it's going to be for your livelihoods. So yeah, we ended up with that idea, and the idea that social and online is the new shop front. And with that in mind, we are going to continue into today's session, where we're going to look specifically at social media content, what it is, how to create it, how to schedule it, how to target it. I hope you enjoy. Sorry, I just quickly have to move your window. Of course, I had so much hassle today, sorry, trying to get my screen sharing to work. So I'm just trying to quickly move your window out of the way, which I can't seem to be doing. Okay, I'm going to have to do this quickly. Sorry, guys. We are trying to figure out this platform as we are going. There we go. Right, so the first question we want to look at is, what is social media content? I mean, as we said last week, there's a lot of jargon around in this business of people coming up with all sorts of terms, and some of them are very close to each other, and we're not always sure what we're talking about. Even professional people have different terms for different things. So if we look at content on social, what do we mean? So the definition of content is different to everybody. That's the most important thing. Content can be information and it can be entertainment. Second quote, content is basically an experience. It can be a useful experience because it provides valuable knowledge. And the last one, I can't make my definition of content to be accepted by you, but you've got to figure out what content means to you. And to that, I'd like to add, and your audience, your target market, and your community, which were the three of the things we spoke about last week. So the important takeaway is that content pretty much can be anything. But that doesn't help us. So what we need to figure out basically is, and we'll go through that in detail, is what is important information that you need to put out there from your business side. And what is the important information that your clientele, your audience, your customers want from you, or what they expect from you. And that will help you determine what is important content. So we will go through this in detail. We look at the examples of what other professionals, content creators and content professionals share on social media. We'll find that there's a whole list on the left there of your screen of the type of types of content and also the formats. So pictures, they share opinions, they share status updates, which could be anything from sure, it's chilly this morning, so we put on the heaters in the salon. Links to articles, if you have a blog, links to articles on other people's blogs, on professionals in the industry, or to influencers, for example. Personal recordings of everything that they like. So it's a little bit like you find stories on Facebook and on Instagram. News items, things that are pertinent to your industry. If there's a new product launch, for example, that could be something. Links to other websites that could be helpful. Tutorials showing people how to do a facial at home if they want to do something like that could be helpful at this time. Status update, how you're feeling. This lockdown has really seen a lot of personal status updates. It could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm sure you've all noticed some of those on your timelines. And then, of course, video clips. That could be entertaining, it could be educational, it could be education, the fun and the education one together. Can't remember that term right now, sorry guys. So the important thing that we also referred to last week was the idea of having a persona. So if you know your business better than everybody else, and that's why we say we can't make our definition of content apply to you. You need to know what is the important stuff that needs to go out there. But we need to also think about the people that is going to and who are those people and how to speak to them. And that's where we come in with the idea of social media personas. So what is a social media persona? It's basically when we combine demographics, things like age, where people live, what the income is, with lifestyle insights, which is also sometimes called psychographics, if you want to go research that, to get a better understanding of who we're actually speaking to. You'll see on the right there, there's an example of what we've drawn up as one persona, which could possibly actually be a salon persona, for example, one of your personas. She is, and we can give her a name if we want to, it's Bongi. She lives in Emmarentia. She has got a family. She's got 2 smaller kids. She's a financial advisor. She earns 600,000 plus a year. She's 36 years old. Those are her demographics. Those are the things that we can measure, and we know we can find, she can fill out in a form. The stuff that's less tangible and we're not likely to know so much is the personal things, like she likes to do park runs to keep fit. She's good at saving. She's a cat lover. She loves dance music, and she enjoys holidays. So the marketing persona gives the proverbial face to the customer. And if we look at this idea of Bongi, she's one segment, she's one persona. You'll obviously have people that are younger and people that are older than her as well in your persona. You might have men. Your question is like, so what does it help us to know all of these things about our personas? So I'm quickly just going to go through the points and make a few comments, and then if we need to go into detail later on, because there's quite a bit of information to get through, then we can do so. So she lives in Emmarentia. So if that is the area that your salon, your store, your set-off point is, then if we go onto Facebook, for example, we can actually market to people only in your neighborhood, which means it's very focused, it's very specific. You could run a neighborhood special because people won't be likely to want to or be able to travel further yet. So knowing where people live is actually quite helpful. Having a very targeted campaign like that on Facebook, for example, means you're going to get more quality leads. In other words, people that are closer to you that are more likely to use your service than if I just leave that open to the entire Johannesburg, for example. Chances of somebody who lives close to your business booking a slot or a treatment is much better than somebody that lives in Springs, for example, if you are in Emmarentia. So you could also use this to, when you have cancellations, for example, put out on your social media, anybody that lives in the Emmarentia area or works from there, is that we've had a cancellation, so we've got a 3 o'clock if anybody wants to grab it. So that's where how geographical demographics can actually help us work better and more clever with targeting our audiences. Family, for example, she's got 2 smaller kids, so we can, if we start selling products online, we know that she's probably going to be concerned if they go on holiday, when they go on holiday on summer months, for their skin safety as well. So we're looking at things like sun protection products that we can send her an email about, or when we target families because we know that they will be interested in a sunblock for summertime for their kids, for example, not just always for themselves. So we can upsell them to other products. The fact that she's a financial advisor means that she's got a good sense of quality, value for money, so we can communicate. If we ever want to send her a personal email, we know that we can talk to her about value for money of a product. Certain products have so many treatments per unit, and we can communicate that with her. She earns 600,000 plus a year. So what we can assume from that is that she does have expendable income, and she might also be more available for some of the more expensive treatments. If we compare her, for example, with a 22-year-old that's just finished her studies, who probably will come and spoil themselves with either if they got a voucher, or they'll spoil themselves for special occasions, our bongi here is more likely to go for your more expensive treatments more regularly, also as a form of reward for a busy lifestyle. 36 years of age means that she's going to start being interested in products that's going to help with age prevention. So not just and treatments that's going to be for age prevention. So not just your basic sort of daily routine products. Excuse me. So demographics can give us a lot more information than it looks like on paper. Psychographics, parkrun, likewise, she's active. So if there's any products that speaks to that, like let's say antiperspirant, again sunblock. The animal lover means that she's probably environmentally conscious. So when we want to speak about products that is eco-friendly, then she's a perfect candidate if there's a new launch of products like that. She likes dance music. So that just gives us a little insight into the tone of voice, the kind of person that we're speaking to. So if she likes dance music, she's probably not going to be interested in stuff that is overly formal. She's more of a relaxed person. If she was into serious classical music, then we'll know that she's probably somebody who's more attentive to a formal language, likes more serious pursuits in life. So, as I mentioned before, when we combine this demographic with the psychographic, we get a more holistic idea of the kind of audience that we're speaking to. And obviously, you'll have different personas per audience. So audience, as we also mentioned last week, audience, target market, and community, 3 different concepts. And I'll quickly recap. Audience are the people that's already on your social media platforms. That's already part of your social media audience. Target market are the people, or is the people that we want to actually engage for new business or for our product. They will consist of your audience, but also people that's not yet in your audience that we want to attract. And then community is that loyalty group. If you had a loyalty system or loyalty program, those people will fall under community. And you can also see that obviously we're going to target messages to them in different ways. The community already knows you, so you can be more familiar. Target market, you need to really sell your products and your unique selling propositions. And for audience, you need to basically keep them entertained so that they don't go away. Right. Can't see nothing yet at this point. Cool. I'm going to continue.
Richard, still fine to go on.
Okay, no problems. Is my sound fine on your side?
Perfect.
Just checking while I'm taking a
perfect.
sip of water. Cool,
Fine.
thanks.
Okay.
So there are some benefits, obviously, to having brand personas, and I've just highlighted 6 here. It helps with personalization. Personalization is going to become ever more important as we are going to deal with people more online. One of the problems with dealing with people online, a lot of people will find out, is that it's much easier when somebody stands in front of you to read body language naturally. There are cues that we subconsciously already pick up. We can see when this person is in a bad mood, or they're irritated, or they're fidgety, which is sometimes stuff that we can't pick up on a digital screen because there's flare, the lighting doesn't show you that. We don't see the whole body. So personalization is going to become more important as we actually deal with people online. The second one helps to understand your customers and their needs better. So if we understand the person, if we have an idea of them as not a customer, but as a person, somebody that we could put a name to, we know where they live, we can understand them, almost like an acquaintance. It becomes like an acquaintance. We kind of can have a better idea of sense of how to speak to them, but also we can kind of anticipate their needs a little bit better and speak to that. Number 3, match your offering to the best audience. So as I said, you'll obviously have different audiences, you'll have different personas. So if we know that our personas, we'll know which ones would go for which type of product. So obviously Bongi, which is a 36-year-old, as we said, she still wants her daily beauty routine products. She wants a monthly facial, but she's also starting to get interested in age prevention treatments and so forth. If I have a 22-year-old, then I'll probably, when there's a facial, let's, for example, I'm using examples off the top of my head, but let's say there's a facial hair treatment combo, which is a really great offer. She might be more interested in that. Obviously, your male personas will have different interests, and they might also be a good example to use as just why you need different personas. We'll find better quality leads. So what we mean with that, we'll find people on our, we'll get people on our internet database that are interested in what we've got to offer if we understand what they want and we understand where they live, and we understand what kind of lifestyle they lead. Again, it's just basically that whole idea of quality over quantity. So having 5 people that you know are going to come in every 2 months or every month is better than having 100 people that might come once a year. Tone of voice and how to speak to them in a way that appeals. That's just part of personalization, but also makes people more comfortable, and it is more persuasive. So if somebody speaks to you in a way that appeals to you, you're more likely to buy the product or take up the service. And then lastly, on this point, it helps with refining your ads targeting, which is important in terms of money, because you save money because you're going to spend money better by targeting to the right people. It also means that you might have a smaller target audience, but you're going to pay less per person or less per acquisition than you would if you just kind of shot as broadly as possible. So for targeting, knowing who you're speaking to and how to speak to them is very, very important. So, water. Why is content important? There are loads of reasons, but I'm just going to focus on the most important ones. So, number one, in the absence of a face-to-face interaction, content becomes the main way to communicate important brand attributes to people. We're going to not have that special in the window or that promo at the checkout counter or the tangible experience of a new product when somebody comes for a treatment. So this is the way that we are going to have to communicate, and this is going to take the place of that, and we need to find ways of telling people about those things that we normally do for person to person. It can help business build a stronger online presence and reach new audiences, which is very important at this point in time. Good content can help boost your brand credibility and also increase people's top of mind awareness of your business. So one of the ways that it can actually create a stronger online presence is obviously when we post content, it's going to come up in search. So when people look for a particular product or look for a particular treatment, Google automatically serves a local quotient of that along with the top results. So a little bit of insight in terms of how Google's algorithms work is that it will always give you a result for a local result together with a top result. So a top result could be, for example, something which is a national distributor for, let's say, for example, Dermalogica, one of the brands. But a local result, top local result will be somebody that stocks it in your immediate vicinity where you're doing your search from. So having these, having this as content actually helps people find your business. I believe we are doing a little section on Google as well, so we'll get into more depth about that. And how it boosts your top of mind awareness. Just people seeing your posts, seeing your content reminds them that you're there. And next time they want to look for something, your brand or your shop or your salon will hopefully pop up before the competitors. We didn't put out any content. So how do we come up with a content plan? So we now know we've done a bit of introspection. We've looked at who our personas are, who are the type of people that shop from us. We know it's why it's important to have content. We've even looked and seen what's the type of content that people tend to share, but how do we come up with a plan? How do we put all of this stuff together? Where do we find content that's relevant? So the most important thing is to look what you have to offer. There's no point in giving people content or selling people content, almost must think of it like that, about something that you don't offer, unless it's a value add. So let's start by looking at what your brand has to offer, or your business. So the first question you must ask yourself is, what are my most important offerings? Obviously, you know your business much better than I do, so you can answer that. What are the most important things that you offer to your clientele? The second question we need to ask is, what are the most important things I want people to know about my brand or my business, or that they need to know? So those might not be the same things. You might offer facial and hair treatments, but you are actually an expert in color. So there's two different things. The one is that people need to know or that's what you offer, but what people need to know is that you're an expert in a certain field or area, or that you have stock a product that's not available anywhere else, or that you have a line of products that is environmentally safe and organic that nobody else has around. So those are two different things that you need to go look at, which will take a bit of time because it seems obvious, but I don't know how many of you have actually gone and made that list about what are the most important things. What this also helps, obviously, is you need to have to prioritize. So also you'll have stuff that's lower down on the list that you find, I actually haven't done that for 6 months. Maybe we shouldn't be doing it anymore if nobody's looking for it. Or conversely, it could mean, hey, our clients don't maybe know that we have that offering, and that's why nobody's booked it in 6 months. Maybe we should try and tell them about it before we decide whether we're going to continue with it or not. The third one is, why do people use your brand or your service? And that will vary from business to business. It is either because you're convenient, you're in the same neighborhood, or they have a special relationship with one of your therapists, or they meet there with their friends every month. There would be different reasons why they use your service and your brand. You're trustworthy, you offer a broad range of products and options. Those things you need to determine. If you don't know that, you can always do an informal little questionnaire, polls, and that stuff, and that forms content on your social media. So you can actually ask your audience, what are the top reasons that you visit our salon, and you give them 3 or 5 options for them to choose from. And that will actually give you some insights, and it gives you content, and it boosts your interactivity and your engagement on social media, which means that if a post gets more engagement, it is more likely that Facebook will also share it with the rest of your audience. So all of those things can be very beneficial. So these questions will help you identify the important content themes that are intrinsic to your business and your brand. And these themes should always be underpinned by your brand essence and offering. So you always have to be honest about it. If you don't offer something, don't put it on the list unless you're planning to offer it. Because at the end of the day, how we're going to structure our content is what we actually can give people and what they want from us. So the brand themes are also called content pillars sometimes. Some people also like to call them buckets. And they help us to create brand content that matches our consumers' interests and obviously what we offer. So here's an example. It's very random, as I said. You know your business. But I sort of attempted to do something which kind of represents what your business might look like. So we'll have products, we'll have treatments, and we'll have advice. Those are the content pillars that are the most important things that we have to offer. For example, you might have something else that you offer. this is just an example, but I've decided I have a salon and we have products, treatments and advice, and those are the most important things. And under that, there's everyday products. We have anti-aging products and we have beauty products, for example. You will obviously have a greater list that you want to add there. Treatments, I've just added listed 3 as well. I've got a cleansing treatment, a rejuvenating treatment, and an anti-aging treatment. And advice that I like to give out is get people to sort of do the 3-step daily routine. And we do a product match with individuals after consultation, so we can give them the right routine and products for their skin type. And we can give information, advice on sun protection for the child, for the family, for the whole family, for example. Right, so these are the brand-centric pillars or buckets, as I said, that these are based on our offering. But what about our audience? So once you have your product and brand-centric pillars defined, you need to match your topics with your personas. So that's why it's important to always have your personas up first. Think about who you're speaking to, because that's going to help you with the next step. So if there are personas without matching content, you'll need to ask yourself why. So if you've decided I've got these 4 personas and suddenly you've unpacked your core business buckets and content, and you see, oh, well, there's no matching persona, or there's nothing that I offer for this persona, then you need to ask yourself why. Did you miss a key brand offering in your content pillar, or is this persona not really a viable brand customer? They might be that they're actually not people you should be targeting. They're peripheral, or they're not part of the target audience that's going to help grow your business. Conversely, if there's a content that doesn't match with one of your personas, you also have to ask yourself why. Did you miss an important possible target market, or didn't remember that you can now actually look at and then to bring in new business? Or is the topic not as unique as you initially thought it is? So are these specific topics that are important to my customers and audience that I can marry with my brand? There's the last question you must ask. So basically, we're going to end up with an example like this at the bottom, where we've got our 3 brand-centric pillars on the left, but we've got our audience persona-centric pillars on the right, which is more based on demographics. So we've got general wellness, because they're interested in that. And of course, we must not forget that we also, social media is a conversation and we're building relationships. So there's always room, an important room at that, for entertainment and feel-good content. That has to do with your brand mostly, but also sometimes sharing a meme that's funny, that you're sure is not going to offend anyone of your personas or audiences, is also fine, just for a light-hearted moment. Those are the kind of things that show that you're human and that you actually have a sense of humor, and just for people to have fun as well. It's not always just business, business, business. Which brings me to, so what about the sales promotions? So obviously that is one of the main motivations why we want to go onto social, why we want to be online, is that we want to lift our bottom line. We want more business. We want to sell more products. We want to get more customers through the door. And there are a few models that propose the percentage of social content that should be dedicated to sales and promotions versus other types of content. And all of them suggest that sales and promotion should make up the smallest part of your social media content plan. It might seem strange. The question is why. I don't know if anybody wants to venture there. Francie, I don't know if anybody wants to take a shot at it, or whether we can discuss this a bit later.
Nobody's asked something, so I think you can take a shot, Richard.
Cool. So the reason why sales is not the most important thing that we share and we should be promoting, and promotions is not the most important thing that we should be putting out on social, is that social media isn't the place to shove products and services in the face of customers, but is instead a great place to build connections, have conversations, and cultivate ongoing relationships. We must also remember that why people are on social media, and think about yourself. Why are you on Facebook? Are you on Facebook to do shopping mostly? Are you on Facebook to constantly see adverts and have promotions on your timeline? Or are you there to see what your friends are doing or what your family's up to, or to share something that's funny and conversational? Why are you on Instagram? Why are you, for example, on Twitter? So we need to remember why people are using these platforms in the first place. And the first reason is not as shopping channels. They have not been traditional shopping channels. They have become places where we can do promotions and shop, and we pay for that. That's part of all of their business models. But if we just look at Facebook's algorithm, for example, in 2018, I think they returned to the whole idea of family values and connections is what is going to be most important to them. So what you see on your Facebook profile and line is the people that you are the people that you are mostly engaged with on that platform, and the people closest to you that you indicated, if you've indicated on your profile, to be family members. So the algorithm does show you people in your vicinity, people you engage with a lot, and your family members above other people. So we need to always reckon and factor in that it isn't a primary sales channel. So when we post content to people, we need to give them stuff that makes them feel good, that entertains, that educates, that informs, what we can call value-added content. And if we give them all of those things, they will be more receptive to our promotions and our sales. But apart from that, if you give them something they want, they will interact more, which means that your promotions and your sales is more likely to also appear on their timeline than if they never take note of your content. So the most important step, so step one was that little bit of self-analysis, if I can just recap, where we go look at what we've got to offer and who our personas are and how we can marry those people, those two aspects into coming up with pillars, content pillars or buckets that gives us ideas of content that's going to appeal to our audience, but also actually help our business, which is where step two comes in, is we need to set our goals. So the top goals that we need to set for social media basically is increase brand awareness, top of mind awareness. The second one is sales, increase community engagement, grow my brand audience, and increase web traffic. So these are the most common goals that are set by content marketers for social media. This is sort of this source. There's Sprout Social, so they are specialists in content marketing, and the reasons for this is that they've tested the effectiveness of social media on the different levels of content and types of content, and this is in the end where energy goes to. So this is a good barometer for us to go and look at to see what we need to look at when we put out content. When we set objectives, it's important that we set SMART objectives. And it's just what it says. SMART is an acronym, but it also helps us to save time, and it helps us to save money, which are both very important if you're running your own business. So SMART, if we look at what it stands for, is specific. So focus on one objective at a time and be clear on what it is that you want to achieve. So I'm either having a promotion and I want to tell people about that, or I want to remind people that we offer treatment, or I just want people to remind people that I'm there in their neighborhood. This includes your intended audience and your offering. So you must also be specific on your audience so that your targeting is more specific. You save money on that. It must be measurable. You must, at the end of the day, be able to see if if this was a successful campaign. Is it a successful money spent? What is my return on investment? So make sure that there's a way that I can at least see if I want more people, if I've decided I want to grow my audience and I decide to run a set of like ads on Facebook, then at least at the end of the day, I can see how many new people have joined and how much it costs me per new follower. It'll also help you with your books and your budgeting. It must be achievable. So it must be something that is within your means and abilities to do. So we can come up with a great concept for a campaign, but it would mean that we have to shoot 10 minute videos, for example. That might not be achievable in terms of skills or budget. So we must also be achievable and realistic, which is the next one. So don't overshoot and don't go for something which is A, not necessary or a bit of overkill, or two, isn't going to materialize because you're actually having a bit of a pie in the sky moment there. It'll only lead to disappointment. So the idea is that that we need to really balance what we want to achieve with what we can actually do. And then timed. That goes for when you do it, but also that it only runs for a specific time. You can't have an indefinite promotion, for example. So there will be a start date and an end date. And also that will help you determine how successful it was within a specific time. Obviously, if you have a burst of activity, you put money behind something, you know you're going to do from the 1st of January, for example, till the end of February, you can measure how successful that was over that period. Right, so we're going to look at quickly how to draw up a content calendar. So we have our personas, we have the types of content that we're going to do, we've got the objectives, we know what we want to achieve, we know what the mediums are going to be, roughly. We've made sure that our objective, let's say for argument's sake, is we want to attract more customers, that we have messages that appeal to all our personas. So we're going to have a message, or at least then for the most important persona, if you have a tighter budget. So let's say we had an unlimited budget and we had 4 personas. We would then run 4 different ads, each one tailored to each persona, because there's always a different tone of voice, a different interest, as we've already established. Or we say, okay, fine, this is our largest likely audience and target market, and we would want to grow them because they are the ones with the money that come in for the top treatments. So we're only going to focus for this campaign to actually acquire people in that target market. So when we draw up the content calendar, we need to go look and see that we've got all our pillars covered, and we also need to look to see that we've got all our personas covered. The important thing to remember is you don't have to do it all at once. You can have a content calendar that runs over a month. If you have 3 pillars and 3 personas, you can dedicate one. Okay, there's always a broken up week somewhere, but let's say you dedicate 1 week per persona and 1 week per offering. Or if you have a lot of content pillars, you might have, let's say, 5 or 6, then you can run a cycle over 2 months. It doesn't have to be over a month's time. It really always, as I said previously, it depends on your business. Rule of thumb, though, is to try and not have too many content pillars, because it can become confusing for your audience. If you do have so many content pillars, you need to be very direct and clear and have very specific reasons and targetings for those content pillars. Right, so when we draw up the content pillar, what we need to do is to remember the brand tone of voice. So you'll have a certain tone of voice for your brand, but because it's social media, we want to keep it conversational. This is not a formal environment. It's a place where people have conversations and people exchange ideas. Generally, keep text as short as possible. People are more inclined to read short copy. Apart from that, longer text or longer copy posts will cut off at some point and have a little read more bit that you have there. again, this depends on what it's for. If you're going to tell a story, an anecdote, and you tell people upfront, this is a bit of a story that happened the other day, but I want to tell you about it. Then you kind of tell people that this is a longer post and you need to read further. If you want to sell, however, we've got that split second of opportunity. We need to keep it short and sweet. And then we need to put our offer and our USP, unique selling proposition, up front. We need to say limited time offer on treatments, and then we can unpack it a little bit further. So that when people scroll the timeline, if it's a sales promotion, they see immediately what is up for offer. So again, rule of thumb, keep it short as possible. It depends on the post. If it's a story that you want to tell that's going to be entertaining, then obviously it's going to be longer, and the people that's going to engage with that is going to engage with that. Don't always limit yourself either. I think you really need to look at what it is that you want to achieve as well. If you are going to promote a post or run an ad, you must remember that certain channels have text specifications and rules that you need to adhere to. Otherwise, they going to penalize your ad, and it's not going to show to as many people as possible. So always make sure that when you run an ad on any particular platform, that you adhere to the specifications. So now I'm going to go into a bit more detail of and show an example of what a content calendar can look like. And this is deliberately not for a salon. This is for an existing client who's in the hardware business, because I think you need to go look at your own brand and do a bit of introspection to see what you need to do. So, for example, they have, if I can just put here, we have 4 content pillars for them, of which one is promos and specials, because they're really in the retail sector. So for them, it's important to always have that. Then they have expertise, they offer certain services, and then they have products. So if we look at this content calendar, for example, we'll see that there is a post from each of those content pillars represented on that content calendar. So we do tick all those boxes. In this month, for example, so this is just your organic content calendar. Promotions, we have 2 voucher giveaways, for example, one at the beginning of the month. That's always great to get some engagement and get people to share. Often people will share promotions and voucher giveaways or tag people in it. That gives a bit of attraction at the beginning of the month. And then at the end of the month, obviously, when we announce a winner and we tag them in it, then it again gives us a nice kind of set up and sign off, and people see that we actually deliver on promotions. Because you'll often see on pages that people will ask, so who won the voucher? Because people are great at sort of taking advantage of offering the advantages of shares and engagement that offering a voucher does, but they're not so great at follow through. So this is just an example of what a typical content calendar could look like. We've chosen Tuesdays to Fridays, Tuesdays to Thursdays, and we'll get to that for them because this is what works particularly well for this client. When we come to scheduling, we'll have a little bit more in-depth look at how we go about that. So, why do we want to schedule posts? Well, the first reason is basically because it saves time. If you have it already plotted out, it's easy to go put that time aside and get it all done right now. It ensures that posts go out as planned. So if you put time aside and you wanted to do something around Mother's Day, that post is already maybe scheduled at the end of April, or end of March rather. April. Yes, April, sorry. So no matter what your other tasks are, this thing is done. So what happens, for example, is, well, Valentine's Day, you have a special and you want to put it out, but now you have a surge of clientele coming in on Valentine's Day because they want to look good for that evening's dinner plans. And then you don't get around to making that post that you wanted to make. So scheduling makes sure that you actually make sure that things go out as they are planned. You can either use platforms native scheduling. Facebook has a way of doing that, and so do all of the other ones, or look for free paid third-party applications that can schedule multiple platforms all at once. An example of that is Later, which I believe some of you are familiar with. For example, the free option of Later allows you to visually plan, schedule, and analyze posts for Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter at the same time. You get one profile per social platform, and you get 30 posts per social platform free per month on the free package. So this is a way of streamlining if you have multiple channels. Obviously, for example, if your business only needs Facebook, then you can just do it from that native platform, as I said. The nice thing about scheduled posts is, whether you use a third party or the native platform, is that you can go back and edit those posts before they go out. So if you do change your mind on a certain subject, you can go delete that post if it hasn't gone out yet. If your specials promotions have to change a date because your stock hasn't arrived or isn't going to arrive in time, you can still go edit those things beforehand. So you don't have to worry about, now it's scheduled and I can't, it's going to go out without my control. You can always get there beforehand and change details or delete it and replace it with something else. Let me just have a look at time quickly, see how fast I need to talk. Okay, I need to hurry up. Quick summary of content calendar process. So what we do is we create monthly goals. We determine what your goal, you will share. Number 3, we're going to create the content calendar template, which we can populate each month. Then we're going to gather the content. We're going to research, put all of the content together, decide whether it's a video or an image or a link. We're going to track and post some promotions. So every month we're going to see which type of posts did well and which did less well. And from that, we will try and see, okay, maybe it was the time of day we posted it. Maybe it was the wrong audience. Maybe it's content that my audience doesn't like. And I will try something else or a different angle to kind of engage them on that next time. And the most important thing as well is to have fun and to experiment, because again, remember why people are on these platforms. Generally, it's not just all business. Right, and just remember that a different platform equals a different approach. Each platform offers different things to different audiences, and always adapt your content to suit the channel. Make sure that if it's on Instagram, it's more visual. If it's on Twitter, it can be more text. Although all of the channels currently prefer and actually optimize posts with visuals more than posts without visuals. Right, Francie, I see we've got 9 minutes left. I can quickly rush through this, or we could share if there are pressing questions rather.
Richard,
yes.
I think what we should do is we'll share the presentation with all of our attendees today. I think you covered mostly what our aim was, which was how to post, when to post, and then how you do the scheduling app, and why it's so important to do your calendar. So I don't know how much more slides you have to go through.
I can tell you what's left in the presentation. Sorry, Michelle, you want to say something?
No, I think what's left, Francis, is more just going into Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But I think that's something we can definitely share with them as part of the as a link again, as per last time.
Yes.
I think and then just to just to wrap it up, Richard, thank you so much. I think that was very informative. And also, it's definitely a nice presentation to go back to. I think generally when you search for videos or webinars that can take you almost like through this processes, it's sometimes not set out in a format that you can always refer to. So I think this is a very nice presentation that you can refer to and kind of use just as a checkbox. Apologies for entering late. I just wanted to, I know Richard already started it, just to recap, obviously from from the brand session we had last week, it was obviously important to look at your brand, and that will obviously give you an idea to why we wanted to do that, and then you go into your planning. Next week we'll go into boosting and really looking at your ads of how they can perform better, and also how you can boost. So that's next week. And then, yeah, please feel free to contact us if you do want us to prep, or if you had questions that you did not ask in this forum. We're really open to discuss with you guys, or just to have an additional chat. One can really delve into this, into quite a lot of detail. Yeah, we get carried away with these things. So please feel free to contact us. And then, yeah, just a reminder that we are currently running a little bit of a special package for if you do need assistance on social media, or if you just want a consultation with us to see, you know, where we can help you. Like, we do have free consultations available at the moment. Yeah, so please feel free to contact us, and then we will see you guys next week.
If I can just quickly tell you what's left.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of pages. It'll just tell you Facebook what it's best for. And it'll also tell you what are the primary audiences that are on there, what the demographics look like. The same for Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And then just when to post. There's a slide on that with some quick info. And then all our information that Michelle just was speaking to is there at the bottom there. There's her email address and my email address. And you also know what are the other topics that we will be discussing. I think the more important one is, if you have any questions, you can email either of us. We can either try and answer it via email, or we can organize a session like this if you want to have a quick discussion. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. And is there any questions? If anybody has a question, now is the time. What I would also like to add to this, thank you so, Richard. Oh, thank you so much, Richard, for all this information. What I do want to add is that your BC, if they have not already done so, which I believe everybody has done, we can share a link with you. We have a content calendar for your Dermalogica posts specifically that you can then incorporate into your scheduling app if you are using that, like for instance later. So you can go and copy and paste the post that you want to use, already pasted in there, so that you know your Dermalogica posts have been sorted, and you can then work around scheduling your other posts for other content that you want to do. So we've already done all the content for you to use according to our marketing calendar.
That's actually great to anybody, Francie, if I can just add, it's actually great if you're uncertain of how to start. It gives you a great, almost going to say, skeleton or base to work from, because you can also see how you can link your personal brand content to what is already there if you're unsure of what you're doing. So I think that it's great that the Dermalogica content is already there to give you a basis to start from.
Yes, and along with that, we also have loads of collateral images. Our stockists will know this on current situations going on, sanitization, everything they need is right there on that drive. So if there's no questions, then I'm going to thank you again so much for assisting us and presenting today, and then look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday. And we are sharing what PPE that you have to now have in place in your workspace when we do open up again. And Richard and Michelle, thanks. We'll see you again on Monday.
Yes, it's been fun. Thanks. I'll shorten my next presentation. Sorry, guys.
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
Fine. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Slow.